The left calls them harm reduction kits, but Andrea Suarez has a different name for them that I think is much more appropriate. This segment is brought to you by Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I'm down 37 pounds on the program, and I lost most of that in just 2 months. Do what I did and what so many other undivided viewers have done. Schedule your free 15-minute consultation today at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Andrea Suarez, founder of We Heart Seattle, she's running for State House in the 43rd Legislative District, one of the most progressive, if not the most progressive legislative districts in the entire state, and she's running against a bona fide socialist, Sean Scott. Now, I was a little worried about Andrea before the primary because she was sort of trying to act like out progressive Sean Scott, because she's like, what do I do to appeal to this voting base? And I was like, she just needs to be herself. She needs to do what she's always done, which is point out the failure of the homeless industrial complex, the failure of us to make any meaningful progress on substance abuse, crime, and homelessness. So post-primary, it seems like she's leaned into that and started returning to, what really made her popular in the first place is just her no BS approach to these things. So she put out this ad. I want to play most of it for you. Where she went to one of these, harm reduction, taxpayer-funded places and got one of their kits in Belltown, in the district that she wants to represent. Here's the video.
I picked up this suicide kit funded by our taxpayer dollars, known as Needle Exchange. It's really a needle dispensary, but there's not really needles anymore because nobody's using needles. They're using foil to smoke fentanyl. The number one cause of death in the United States of America is overdose deaths between the ages of 18 and 45. We have foil. We have instructions on how to roll foil into pipes. We have tourniquets, not even relevant anymore, so that's definitely a waste of taxpayer dollars. We have cookers, and that wasn't good enough. We had to create cookers with a little pinky ring so you couldn't burn yourself. So this is harm reduction. I call this drug enablement. This is being paid for by our taxpayer dollars. When I'm elected as your state house representative, I will defund these suicide kits. This is cruel. We're giving these out to teenagers. We're giving these out to first-time users. Sadly, in this kit that I picked up at the King County Needle Dispensary, there was nothing in this package that offered access to treatment. We need a culture that makes it hard to get high and easy to get clean.
Yeah, amen. And having her actually walk us through that is fascinating to me because, when this first idea of kind of harm reduction came out, it was more so like the needle exchanges, as she said, but now she said there's not even needles in there because that's not really how people are abusing fentanyl. And the idea behind a needle exchange was so you wouldn't transmit other diseases by using dirty needles or sharing needles, etc. And I think that there was some legitimacy to that. I mean, I definitely believe it goes too far and it's not harm reduction if you're helping people continue to use deadly drugs and you're not actually connecting them to treatment. But when you think about that, so like the idea of if it is just a needle exchange, like I'm doing this anyway, I'm going to turn my dirty needle into the thing and I'm going to get clean needles, then I'm not going to spread all these other like viruses around, right? But think about, again, the things that are in this kit now. Needle's not even in there. So think of the idea behind like a needle exchange and harm reduction and what it's translated into now. So again, she showed the foil. So think of how many, like this is taxpayer money, how much time went into, I'm going to put this little square of foil in this little plastic Ziploc container with plastic. We can't even use plastic straws. You're putting individual pieces of foil in a little plastic baggie. And then it has this actual instructional thing on how to fold your foil, right? To use your drugs with it. Now, what aspect of that is harm reduction, okay? Because think again of the example I gave you with a needle exchange, where there's a purpose for it at least, where if you use a dirty needle, you could be, spreading other diseases. So there's a public health benefit to it. What's the public health benefit or the risk of using a dirty piece of tinfoil? There is none. So this is just about giving people the tool they need to use a drug. There is no harm reduction element to that whatsoever. And the only thing in there that I could think about or see that was actually like had an element of reducing harm was that stupid little cooker with the thumb ring on it. Because the only harm reduction that gives you is you won't burn your finger. But again, like, it's not a societal problem if you burn your finger. It is a societal problem if you're spreading communicable diseases via dirty needles. That's the only element in that whole bag that had any, like, even vague, like, remote element of harm reduction. Think of how crazy that is. And again, the real kicker, I just want to replay again the end of her video here.
Sadly, in this kit that I picked up at the King County Needle Dispensary, there was nothing in this package that offered access to treatment.
Yeah, nothing in the package that offered access to treatment. Not even like flyers or anything like that. Like, hey, here's your harm reduction kit, but also like, here's all the places you could go to get help. And there's no mandate for it, right? There's nothing saying you absolutely have to, like, if you want this, then you need to come in and do X, Y, Z, or meet with a therapist or meet with a social worker or something like that. So it truly is, as she said, it's a suicide kit. Think how disgusting that is. How psycho do you have to be to continue to support that, let alone support it with our taxpayer funds? You're paying for that. You're paying for them to put little square pieces of tinfoil in a plastic baggie and hand deliver it to someone who's going to use fentanyl that could kill them in one shot. You're paying for them to put little rings on the cookers so that the people cooking the drugs that are going to kill them don't burn their fingers. It's like if they take that drug, the least of their concerns is going to be if they burn their fingers, because they'll probably just die. And we wonder why, when the rest of the nation has declining overdose rates, ours are up 14%. It's because we're giving them the tools they need to do these things. We're not arresting them on the streets. We don't even have enough officers, frankly, to arrest them, even if we wanted to. And even if they're arrested, as Cairo News showed us in a report, they'll get arrested, they won't get booked, and they'll be back out on the same street corner abusing fentanyl 5 hours later. Fundamentally broken. I asked you guys in our daily subscriber show poll, because, like, what do you do, right? Because I'm not opposed to Narcan. There was no Narcan in these kits as far as we saw. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think people should just die if there's something that could easily bring them back to life. But the answer cannot be, as we see so often, law enforcement respond, they bring someone back to life with Narcan, and the person doesn't want to be transported to the hospital. In fact, oftentimes they're upset because you ruined their high, so they go back out and try to get high again. There's no intervention. If it was Narcan but intervention, it's a different scenario altogether.